Since when did this music become elevator music and then disco music? Well, there is some background sound in the movie Earthquake. It's very, you know. Oh, we get a bonus now, an Earthquake. Put on the subwoofer. Oh, so it does go down a little bit lower. I think the soundtrack's being produced purposely at a certain level, so when it kind of fakes the effects. You know what I mean? To go from a bit of earthquake rumble to a bit of snap, crackle, and pop. Yeah, very few little tiny fractions, snap, crackle, and pops. On the Richter scale, they're probably about 0.1. They're insignificant. But give the album a bit of a more try listen. It's not too bad. I can see where some of the music's been filtered down here around about 100 hertz range or such. And then when that earthquake rumble effect sort of came in, it was going down a little bit more lower. But that's just mixing style. It's just to make the audience think. But generally, I think some of the principle of that is makes sense because if I suppose if this were done by someone that could think just a little bit more like, well, how does it actually sound or how does it actually feel? What can you do with speakers? You can't exactly put hydraulics on the and make it start doing all that crying out loud. It's it's a lot of effort to go into that and pricey. But to think how to do it. With speakers and sound mixing and acoustics and sound triggering things to sort of trigger things, maybe like the Sensurround sort of thing. But I mean, a lot of proportion of the rumble effect that you hear acoustically in the film, as well as feeling it as well. And then you got the LFE track, which it's not the same as the Sensurround because I got a feeling that the generator is moving sound forward and backwards, sort of thing, or doing something. It's generated, so it's not soundtrack mixed. It's time coded or with pilot tones to tell I think at first they call it a mod 2, and then they had a Sensurround mod 3 from reading the history, and it's a very small box, very complicated circuitry, mind you. Very kind of neat looking. So if it were to do it now, I'd have a lot of that rumble effect where it's in all the other speakers a little bit less, so it's not as and then have other speakers to reproduce a rumble effect. That could be placed around discreetly, because the voice itself only goes down to a certain frequency range. Or well, there's kind of if and I would just have more multi-track to do the whole thing. If I were doing it, to create a rumble and put bass shakers and such. But then how many seats and that work work that out, and it's not cheap. That's extremely expensive. It could be more expensive than probably having a few hydraulic system to move the floor around or something. It would be more expensive because you've got to consider the amplifiers, the speaker, the cable run, Go into all the so each device has got to have a kind of maybe an equalizer on it, so it could be just slightly adjusted. Plus the headache of having to go around each seat and checking, making sure that they don't resonate, that they and then okay, if it maybe makes a little, too much resonate, you've got to fix that. If it's mild, then you think, yeah, well, it's not much. But then the rest of the soundtrack, when it plays, it's going to acoustically mask it, so you wouldn't notice, but you notice the feel. Um, and it can play at a lesser level, so you get to feel the impact, but have the rest of it, have that 110, 120 down at, say, at a max in the DBC, maybe 100. That's sufficient, and have of course, the DBA range would be about 85 max. So it's a little bit more calm, but you get more impact. Just like if I do that, just boom, 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 I feel the seat vibrate because I'm on a seat, and because it's flexible, it rocks. It's a rocker seat. So if I'm in a seat that's not a rocker seat, I feel a different vibration. If I stand up and do that, I feel more of a shake up this end, but I don't feel a shake all over. It's just you know, just the way it is, I suppose.